Hello and welcome back to another one of these patch note videos. Today we are going to be looking at patch 3.14. Now this was a lot of balance changes and a couple of graphics ones, so let's get right into it. Okay, so for the first thing, they really increased the graphics options. They added a sharpen option, a super sampling option. This is a powerful type of anti-aliasing. They have split the graphics options into two different sections, the background quality, which is here in the settings menu, and the texture quality, which I believe is the initial startup window that you see when you start the game. There were two other graphics modes that I kind of looked around and I couldn't find. They added options to decrease input lag, and then removed the old multi-threading option for that less input lag option. Alrighty, and now on to sort of the more general updates to the game itself. They added two custom game options, a healing multiplier, a shop healing enabler, and you can sort of adjust which ones, and they can even go to negative, so you can have fun with that. Or they said this one goes to negative, yeah. So you can have negative regen. So yeah, we're getting negative regen, and I turned off. It's fun. Though I have discovered a quite bug with this. They kind of the AI pathing is completely broken when you put on the negative regen because they come to the shop and they expect to get healed and they don't. So that's a little bit of a bug there. They added a little bit of a fix to the controller layout. If you're using a controller, you can use the B button to get out of the shop, but if you do that, you used to start it, but now it properly doesn't activate the ability when you use it. So I can controller. So they have overhauled a lot of the icons so that they actually apply properly and sort of mesh with each other. You can see they don't stack as much as they used to, and I just die. So specifically the ones that have been changed, which is basically all of them, amplify damage, stun, speed up, snare, slow, silence, invulnerability, weakness, and power and blind status effects have been overhauled, just so they're a lot easier to see. Let's see if we can show silence here. So you can see all the, quite interesting. They've got, they overlay them like that. But it definitely will make the game much more intuitive, and as you can see, like slow and different things. This isn't quite it, but the Russian font for chats has been updated to be proper, and I don't actually have a Russian keyboard, so I can't show you, but close enough. Okay, so the next update is that during Awesomenauts, the item descriptions have been increased, so you can actually see what you've gotten exactly and read what they are instead of just seeing the icons, just in case you're not familiar, so that's very helpful. Solar Crab Burgers has been reduced from 50 health per solar coin to 65 health. So each coin that you pick up now only heals a slightly less amount. Droids now give 4% more XP per level, making it easier for the team that's behind to catch up. So it's just making droid clear and making that a priority, much more of a importance. Starstorm map is now in the second position in the map selection screen. A couple of things I can't really easily demonstrate. Fixed that in OpenGL, the end of the loading screen would ignore VSync settings. Fixed issues on Mac where an item in the carousel with an AND symbol in the web link could not open correctly in the browser. Alright, so they've fixed an issue between enemy and ally droids. In the past, they would jump around on these things and they would get distracted, but they're much more responsive when dealing with ledges. Usually they would just sort of sit there, but now they will actually sit there and attack things. Okay, so they've changed a couple of things on the Starstorm map, and this is probably my favorite things. Most of all, they have widened this area, so you can actually brawl a little bit more easily in here. You can actually go to like around here before the turret actually starts attacking. So that means if you accidentally bump these droids, you won't start instantly getting attacked. They have decreased the size of the wall right here, and also they have added an overhang here, so it's a little bit harder to jump into it. They have removed the platforms up here, instead replacing them with this. And then finally, if we go down to the basement, wider down here, more platforms, a little bit more area for brawling, and they've moved the health creep down here, so that sort of makes there a reason to go down to here. Another thing that they've changed is they moved the location of these health pack from the bottom to the two sides, so that there's now more distributed health, and it's easier to top off because sustain was so important on this map. Alright, and now to some of the character changes. Most of this patch has been buffs, nerfs, and other character changes, so let's get right into it with Ayla. Alright, so one of the things they fixed with Ayla is that now when she goes and picks up the health she goes and instantly turns invisible. I did not activate that the rage, so it turns off rage when you actually pick up the health or the invis creature. So the three items that have been changed is firstly Biter Mask. The soloing power has been reduced from 13% to 11% per stage. Prison Guard Keys has been changed from 105 health per stage to 90 health per stage. And Ion Blowtorch, the health requirement has been increased from 40% to 45%, and the price reduced from 175 to 160. And now on to Chucho. Now, ever since Chucho's stun has been removed, he's sort of been in a weird spot. So One-Arm Chameleon has been changed again. This time it's a range increase by 50% and a damage increase from 70 to 80 per shot. So it's just completely changing the utility of that. The biggest thing with Chucho that I've heard is that they've removed SKB because they've been pushing to get Baby Curry Mammoth on every character, so sort of make CCs a lot more standard and easier to change. But this is like a huge nerf to Chucho from the people I know that play Chucho mainly. Alrighty, and on to Coco. Most of the stuff that has changed with Coco is her AA, actually. The shock basic damage has been increased from 27 to 30, so very tiny increase. Static gloves, the base damage increased is from 4 to 3? That doesn't make any sense. So I guess that has been changed or increased. Flexible heat sinks, the attack speed per stage reduced from 12% to 10%, so a little bit of a nerf to sort of counteract some other stuff. Heavenly Fire Blaze has been reduced to 50% of the damage of the regular effect. The biggest thing with Coco is that they have removed the movement penalty for using the AA, which is pretty big. I know Red will be happy about this, but it's certainly very different. And then finally, the normal ball actually interrupts AA attacks, which is interesting. So I guess he couldn't attack during that. So, alright, so the only thing that has changed with Froggy is that improved latency stuff, so that there was a bug where if you would dash a Yuri Mine, because of latency, it actually made you get hit by it. And here's the that invincibility title thing that you see. Great, so Genji has been changed because they said some nerfs intended to affect his godlike team play while at the same time giving him a slight buff for solo queue. So, first thing first, Moon Nectar has been decreased from 52 healing to 47, so just a slight nerf there, but still useful. Monarch Blessing reduced from 25% to 20. The Hidden Leaves upgrade has been increased from 7.5 to 10% to sort of counteract the differences. Caterpillar price per stage increased from 185 to 215. And the big difference, Prefab Cocoon, the price per stage has been reduced from 190 to 180. They now explode instantly, and the damage has been reduced from 185 to 160. So this is what happens now. Boom, they just explode. Also, they have fixed that the hummingbird droid that it spawns gave the enemy team XP. So that was kind of a bad thing because it would help them farm a little bit better. But now they've changed that. Now it just, boom, explodes. But it's a little bit harder to see that damage thing, so I would actually make it a little bit more clear as to how big that explosion is, because it might be a little bit unobvious. Boom! Alright, now on to Gnaw. Rotten Teeth now reduces damage over time duration by 1 second per stage. The upgrade Dental Braces has been replaced with a new effect to the game, actually. It reduces the enemy's damage output by 15%. Diamond Teeth price has been decreased from 225 to 190. And Filed Teeth effect now works on Dot, reducing the effect from 30% to 25%. And then finally, they have reworked the upgrade slightly to make the spit there more aligned with the actual hitbox. It was slightly off. It wasn't off by a lot, but it was actually fairly noticeable in terms of like, oh, that should have hit me, but it didn't. And now on to Jimmy and Lux. They say Jimmy is currently in a decent position, therefore little changes were made at this time. Improving his charge consistency and some other upgrade changes are being discussed for the future. So now on to his item changes. Dirty Diapers, one stage was removed, the cooldown reduction increased from 0.8 to 2 seconds, and then the price increased from 135 to 180 solar. Danger Pins, the damage has been reduced from 250 to 210, which is kind of disappointing because that's his best upgrade. And then keeping with the theme of giving everybody else BKM, they removed the barrier magazine and gave BKM to Jimmy. And finally, they fixed a bug where steel boxing gloves would activate after using a skill instead of just an AA. And for Ksenia, they said Ksenia is regarded too strong in the highest levels, so some adjustments were added to tone her down. So a lot of Ksenia's changes were actually gameplay ones as opposed to item. They increased the time it takes to spam these out. You can't quite throw them as fast as you can, so it's a little bit slower down on the burst, which is definitely needed because she was pretty ridiculous on how fast she could throw them out. And so feels a little bit slow, and some players described her as clunky on the forums, and so I can definitely understand that. But she was just ridiculous amounts of burst anyway. Also, her jump height has been reduced slightly from 5.6 to 5.2. The Vanish cooldown has been increased from 11 seconds to 12 seconds. And a couple of items were changed. Remembrance Machine was changed from 15% slow to 10% slow because that was a little bit ridiculous. Occam's Razor was reduced from 25% to 20%, so again, lowering the amount of slow. Deja Vu Blocker, the silence was reduced from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds per stage. Alright, and finally they fixed a bug where Ksenia would pop out of this invis on a Gillian based on the her own invisible timer instead of the timer for that, but doesn't carry over the silence, so bit of a change there. And I heard some murmurings that they changed the way her AA works. Like now you can't actually throw scissors while you're AAing. I don't know if that's intended, so. And now on to Leon. Now he was changed quite a bit as well. They said the changes to make Leon more of an assassin, less of a pusher, army manager, and king of backdoor. So the biggest changes is one, invisible only lasts for 8 seconds. As you can see, he has a very similar one to Ksenia, which I don't know if this was a little bit too far. But the big thing, another big thing, is that he can only have one clone out at a time, so that prevents the sort of stacking of clones that you used to be able to do. See if I guess he just disappears after the time. So they've also buffed his base damage from 90 to 95. Steel False Teeth has been merged into one stage. The heal value increased from 68 to 85, and the price has been increased to 90. Spectacles Magnet Piercing, they added a second stage, and then the minimum blind duration is now 3 seconds. Pinot Noir, I don't speak French. The base regen increased from 25 health per second to 40 health per second, and the price has been reduced from 155 to 115. And finally, French Baguette has been a price reduced from 130 to 90 solar, so that just gives you a quick little boost of speed while you're invisible, which, I mean, it's definitely needed now that his invisibility is is a lot more limited. He's definitely been needing a lot of nerfs in terms of his pushing capacity, but I feel like they went a little bit too far with his invisible duration. I feel like just the one clone out at a time would be good enough, but we'll see how that changes things. And now for Lone Star, they said general buffs to improve Lone Star's standing. So basically all of Lone Star's changes have been item changes. Bull Charger, the damage has been increased from 180 to 210, which means there are going to be a lot more spam stars. Techno Viking Helmet, the damage has been increased from 25 to 29. Incendiary Bomb, the damage over time has been increased from 75 to 82. Eagle Bullets, the price has been reduced from 180 to 170. Cheetah Bullets, the price has been reduced from 180 to 155, and Red and Blue Missiles, damage increased from 90 to 100. Alright, so the only thing changed with Nibs is that autographed picture of Haran used to say that there was an increased damage by 18%, in reality it's 9%, and then finally they have also replaced Wrathstone with BKM on Nibs to match the CC theme. Okay, so there have been a couple of changes to Foxy. The Pounce, the base damage has been changed from 92 to 87, and then the damage per each of the charges has been decreased from 51 to 48, so a tiny bit of a nerf. Electric bike lock has been increased from 10% to 11%, but then also the price has increased from 135 to 160. Cookie Monster badge, the damage per charge has been increased from 6% to 7%, and from 7 to 8%, and then the cost is now 230. The pulse, the base damage per charge has been reduced from 95 to 90. Spider-Bird Collector Badge, they added a very small AoE to the hit. Living Treasure Map Badge, the attack speed has been increased from 10% to 12%, and then the price has been reduced from 185 to 160. Herring Snack Badge, the heal per charge has been reduced from 35 to 30, so another hit to Herring Snack Badge, but then also the price has been increased from 175 to 190. The Greyman Group Badge has been reduced from price from 200 to 175, and then keeping with the theme, Wrathstone has been replaced with BKM. Alright, and so with Raylan, their goal was to reduce Raylan's stalling potential, which is really good because she was the queen of stall. So in order to do that, Rift and Snipe have been reduced to 75% damage to droids. Now to counteract that, they've given her a couple of slight buffs to also increase build variety. HC Bomb has been increased back to 200%. It's not quite the 4 times that we used to have, but it's an improvement. Iron Rifle, the shield absorbs damage increased from 165 to 225, making it a lot more useful. And finally, they fixed a bug where while simultaneously jumping and charging a snipe shot, you wouldn't be able to jump afterwards, so I assume that it was something like that. So the only thing they've changed with Scoop is they've added a hit marker for when you actually hit things with Scoop's hammer. So a couple of the changes that they made to Sentry were to sort of counteract the fact that a lot of the characters got a movement speed buff and that BKM actually affects Black Hole Sun. So the base gravity for Black Hole Sun has been increased by 10%. To sort of counteract this, Bug Detector's pull has been decreased by 5% from 25 to 20. Glass Case of Emotion has been reduced in price from 205 to 115 because it's really not used that much. Ringtones for the Deaf, the silence duration has been reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. And then to match the theme of everybody else, a barrier magazine has been removed and BKM has been added. And the only thing that has changed with Skodir is that Axe Throwing Trophy has been reduced from 0.3 seconds to 0.2 because they still felt it was quite strong. So the stun is quite a little bit less. If we look here. Whee! See, he's much faster to be able to move. For Scree, they have fixed a bug that the minimap icon for the Totem of Power no longer appears as a solid black-purple block in replays, so that's pretty good. But then gameplay-wise, they wanted to change Scree's Saw Blade to make it more of an active skill. So then the Saw Blade countdown actually starts when the Saw Blade comes back. So as you can see, it's reset the cooldown timer. But then also the cooldown has been reduced to 8 seconds to sort of counteract that, because it's giving it 1, taking from the other. Also to decrease the sort of stalling potential that Scree has, because he's the other main contender of stalling out, damage has been decreased by 75% against droids. And finally, he joins the other people that Barrier Magazine was replaced by BKM, so that everybody has BKM. Swiggins also got some attention. They said to improve build variety and buff Swiggins, which is good, because Swiggins needed some lovin'. Item-wise, Flying Fish Compass has been merged into one stage and then priced at 190. Anchor Hook's base damage has been increased from 281 to 310. Blue Heart Metal has been reduced from 55 to 50, so a slight nerf for that. Treasury Lottery Map, the duration has been increased from 1 second to 2.5 seconds, and it now absorbs 200 damage instead. Ted McPain is one of those knots that got a lot of changes this. They really wanted to sort of shake up how people played him, so there's going to be a lot of the patch notes about him. So one of the biggest changes to Ted is that they've removed the stun stim, instead replacing it with a knockback. And because base stim pack effect is considered a little underwhelming, they made it stronger for a longer cooldown and moved some of its effects to base. So Stimpack base attack speed buff raised from 35 to 40%. The base duration has been increased from 3 seconds to 5 seconds, and the Stimpack cooldown starts at the end of Stimpack instead, and then the cooldown has been reduced from 12 to 10. Though that change in cooldown doesn't actually get reflected there, so that needs to be fixed. Ammo weekly, the attack speed has been reduced from 15 to 12% per stage to sort of counteract the fact that they got base attack speed increased buff there. Armpit shaving cream, the price has been reduced from 165 to 155. The other big thing that they changed is they finally changed Tedris Vial. They said it was becoming a crutch. The Tedris damage has been reduced from 190 to 150. The range has been reduced from 20.8 to 13, and then the cooldown has been reduced from 3 seconds to 1.2 seconds, but it only gets activated when not firing machine gun. So now it's a little bit more of a pitter-patter for quick damage, like that, instead of what it used to be, a long-range sniping tool, so that's nice. Ted McPain Unicorn Dancing Karting reduced arming time from 1.5 seconds to 0.8 seconds, so that makes it a little bit easier to land those grenades. They've added a second stage to Teddy's Bullseye, so that now means he can have 5. And it's now costing 135. And then 10 is another one of those knots that had a lot of stalling potential, so they really wanted to reduce that. Wheelbarrow with ammo, the damage has been reduced from 15% to 12%. The airstrike cooldown has been increased from 10 seconds to 11 seconds, and airstrike damage against droids has been reduced by 75%. And they finally removed that pesky bug where you would switch to a machine gun and it would be firing the machine gun on the other client, and it was just incredibly scary and daunting because it's like, oh no, I've just like gotten shot by a million things, and it was really scary, but now they've finally fixed that. Alright, and finally they kind of changed the way airstrike actually works. They said airstrike was never designed to reveal hidden areas. This was originally a byproduct of its technical implementation. Because the airstrike was overhauled to work on the Starstorm map, it lost this area revealing bug. So when you used to shoot this thing out, you could shoot it into here and it would reveal it. But now it temporarily reveals it slightly. So it was all because it used to be acting as its own kind of like entity kind of a thing, and that's how they implemented it. But now they've changed it so that it actually reveals hidden areas for like a second afterwards. So that was another big change to TED, but very technical. Okay, so Vinny got a couple of changes to increase build diversity and change a couple problems. Rigged casino games has actually been fixed so that it actually deals the proper amount of damage, so that's a good thing. That it used to be kind of a decrease of damage in total, so it was kind of bad. And then finally, Clown Mask has been merged into one stage, and the solar price has been increased to 190. And now on for the Ulip. It used to be possible to shoot out one dinosaur while actually stunning someone, but they have fixed that. They said they changed Walking Rod because no one ever really got it. So they changed it so now it gives dinos a 100% speed up for 1.5 seconds after deploying, or until they bite something, so it kind of makes them faster until you need them to be slow and nom nom on stuff. And finally, he has also joined the BKM Legion by having Solar Crab Burgers replaced by BKM. And finally, we have my beloved Yuri. They've changed a couple of things about him. So to reduce Yuri's stalling potential, damage against droids has been reduced to 75%, just like all the other stall people. To make Yuri less overpowered, they wrote, base mine damage has been decreased from 425 to 410. The time warp cooldown has been increased to 15 seconds. Oh man, so terrible. Look at that. Oh man. Yuri's everywhere crying, but then the rest of the Awesomenauts community saying, yay, kill them even more. And then finally, Chrono Rift has been changed to just be a reduction in cooldown. 2 stages at 1 second per stage at 190 solar per stage. So yeah, that has been patch 3.1.4. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Look at all the bot games I've done to record all this stuff. But it's fine. It's fun making these things and making these videos. So I hope you guys appreciate, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.